What is up, guys? So in this video we're going to be going over buses, sends, and distributing effects throughout your mix. And so in the last video we went over mixing and panning. If you haven't seen that, I'll put in the description below. And so in this video we're going to be just going over a little more of an advanced technique, which is more common in a professional setting. A lot of people will just insert their plugins right onto the inserts, but it's actually a lot better if you do it within your sends. So how do you do that? So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to create an aux track, and you can do that by going to track, new, or in this case I like to do Shift Command N. And we're going to create an aux input. And since our master is stereo, we're going to make it stereo. And so in this case, you're just going to create it. And we're just going to do a simple verb today, because that's the most common one that is used. And so the way we do that is we just add, I'm going to use, I think it's dverb. Let's see what I have. Yep, I'm going to use dverb. And we're just going to do a plate verb. We're not going to make it too wet. If you've never used this before, it's a great plugin. It's included with Pro Tools 10. I believe the new Pro Tools First is going to be including it, which is awesome because it's free and these plugins are super, super great. Just a little quick thing on reverb. A plate verb is basically, actually it's literally in like 30 years ago, I think, actually maybe even farther, they used a metal plate, and they would they would have a speaker kind of on the plate, and then they would have the plate in an isolated box. And what would happen is they would send the signal onto the plate. So the speaker was pointing and sending its sound waves onto the plate, and the plate would vibrate, and then there would be a mic attached, and then it would send that sound back into your mix so that you could hear a much more reverbed version of your dry mix. And so that's what a plate does, and then everything else is self-explanatory. But in this case, we're gonna do a plate, and we're gonna do let's do like a medium to small. We're gonna experiment a little bit, and we're going to have it at around 50. Let's just try 50% in this case, and then, well, what you'll see is actually, well, no, it's not gonna play anything. It's just gonna be the same. But that's because you haven't sent it yet. So what you normally do, so I'm just going to bring it back, and I'm going to zoom in on our send here. And so what we want to do is we want to use something called a bus. And what a bus will do is it will literally bus your signal, or whatever you want. Say you have a deverb, you're busing it to this bus. And think of busing, so you can think of it as stations if you want to kind of go with the bus analogy. The bus, so basically this bus is going to stations 3 and 4. And so you've sent the signal, in this case the bus is sending to 3 and 4. And so what you do is let's just try the acoustic guitar in this case. So you want to do the bus, and you'll see it's highlighted, bus 3 and 4. So you want it to be on bus 3 and 4. Actually, my mistake. You don't want to send the send, you want to have the send to bus 3 and 4. And so now you have a fader right here, which you'll see right here, and then you want to add it to the stereo sound. And then you can actually increase, this is your level of reverb and how much it's affecting that particular fader. And so in this case, let's go to let me see if I have it up here. No, I don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to view it from my edit window. And what this will do, it's pretty cool actually. So basically you sent your aux verb into, let me just make sure it's working. Yes. So it's working. So basically you've sent the verb through bus 3 and 4. So the bus is your transportation, the signal's transportation, and then it sends, or it ends in a way, in this into this track, but the bus has ended in this track. So it's pretty hard to it's a little tough to explain, but basically you send it through the input. In this case, we're going to go back to our aux track. We create the aux track, and we send the D verb through bus 3 and 4, and then it can end up in the send. Bus 3 can end up in the send of acoustic guitar or this acoustic guitar. I'll go over it a little more once we apply it to another track, but basically once you have it in your send, you can actually adjust how much it'll affect that track. So let's just make it 0. So let's just do that, and I'll show you sort of that it's a lot more verbs now. Which is, actually, you can hear it now. It's actually very slight, which actually is good because you don't want too much reverb. But if you can hear it, I'll raise my input up. You'll hear a resonance in the end. You hear that kind of like ta. That is the reverb affecting it. So we're just going to go over this again. I know it's a little bit of a tough concept to get, but basically we're going to do this to the the electric guitar. And what we're going to do is, again, so you create your aux track, you created an insert in your D verb, and you use the buses to send it. So in a way, the bus is the transportation for the D verb to travel to other sends within other channels. And so we have our send right here, and that signal was sent to the electric guitar solo. So we're going to go into our bus, and we're going to select bus 3. And then a fader will come up, and we're going to increase the amount that send is affecting that channel. And so in this case, actually, before I even go further, there's actually I set it so that you can see this this send like this. But what you do is, if you want to see the individual like input, you just press the little A, or actually you can just press the bus, and then what that will do is it'll show like the individual track. You can actually have as many of these as you want up. So you just have to press the target mode off, and then you can have this one as well. And you'll have 2 or 3 or 5, how many you want. You can create your mini mixer. And so in this case, I'll go over to the guitar solo. And you will hear, I'll highlight a section. In this case, I'm going to turn that way down, and I'm going to solo out, and I will increase it a lot more. And you can hear that there's a little more reverb on it, but actually you can't hear it because you need to solo out the aux as well. So that's actually a big thing that I've made the mistake, is that when you solo out a track and you only solo that out, it's only soloing out the dry track. You actually have to also, if you have a send going through it, you have to solo out the aux track, or in this case, we're going to call it verb, just short for reverb. And you have to solo it out, otherwise you're not going to hear the send. So now you hear it. but if you just take it off, you'll hear the dry track. So that's super important. And now we're just going to apply another one to the vocal. And actually, I really liked the level on the guitars. So we're just going to basically do the same thing, and we're going to set it to 0, and we're going to option click drag, and we're going to apply it to the vocal as well. And we're going to solo that out, and we're going to take that. And actually, since we have it on a stereo input, I'm going to take it out of target mode, and I'm going to have both of them up at the same time, and I'm going to solo out the verb, and we're going to take out the solo, and we're just going to have the particular track so that we can just test out how much the verb is affecting it. So let's take a look.
I was lost in a state of mind.
All right, already too much. So we're going to divide that, and we're going to bring it down to about 10. And actually, the way I'm going to do that is I'm actually just going to deal with the first one.
I was lost in a state of mind.
And with vocals, you don't want too much unless that's an effect you're trying to go for, but you just want it kind of like a little bit over so that it's noticeable, just a little noticeable. Or it's just giving it a little more life. And that's actually kind of like with vocals and with guitar, that's what reverb's there for, is that it's just giving it a little more life.
So, I was lost in a state of mind. Something I couldn't.
So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to start at the way bottom, and I'm just going to bring it up until I think that it's just a little more lively.
I was lost in a state of mind. Something I couldn't find. As you entered my mind, and I was captured by your endless love. Spent all my precious time. I was lost in a...
Actually, I think that's good. So about 10.8 was around where I wanted to be. So now I'm going to take the bus, and I'm just going to copy it over instead of having to do it over again. And that will automatically make the level go down. And that is basically how sends work. So the last thing we're going to do is just we're going to deal with automation. So this was done in Xpand. It's this awesome program. And I had like this kind of pretty cool effect going. It was an ocean with like an applauding rain. I wanted to like start it kind of sad, because it's a sad song. And so we don't have to deal with anything in here. All the automation is done actually outside of the plugin. And so the way you would do that is you would go into your, sorry, I'm just going to take out the solo on this so that we can deal only with the ocean. And so basically what we do is there's this little option here, clips. It's your view. It's so basically there are like a couple different ways you can view it. You can do it in like velocity. Excuse me. You can do it within velocity. You can do it within MIDI notes so that if you want to adjust it, you can do it that way. But the way we're going to do it is audio volume. And then you can see everything. So we're actually just going to delete this quickly just because I want you to see this as it was before. So we're going to delete that. Excuse me, I press enter. We're going to press delete. And then this is what it's normally would look like on 0. But in this case, we're actually just going to draw a point. So there are a couple ways you can do this. So you can actually draw it like this. And then like that. And then it goes down like that. And then that'll actually do it. But if you want a little more of an accurate way of doing this, what you do is you'll go in your Smart Tool, and this is actually key. Some people have it on the grabber or the selector or the mover, but what you actually want to do is you want to select the bar above it, and you can do the Smart Tool. And so you want to keep it on that, and then you can press Command, and then a little pointer will come up. And then you can actually create a point there. And so now I can actually just move that point up. and then we can move that point to wherever we want it to be. And so what we do next is we just create another point, and since it was kind of plateauing for a while, as soon as the guitars come in, it'll kind of fade down. And so this is what it's going to sound like. And that's actually perfect because on the intro of the guitar, I can actually just move that point over just a little bit and it'll start to fade down right there. And that's actually pretty much perfect to where you want it to be. And then if you want to bring it back to the clips mode, you just press this bar right here and it'll bring it back to clip mode. And what you'll notice is that the fader will move up as it's automated all the way up to the point that you brought it to and all the way back. So we'll just watch that for a second. Alright, so now this mix is coming together a lot more, and in the last video we're just going to go over sort of the final touches that you can do, like cool effects and other sorts of things. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and stay tuned for the next video.